At this time, please join me in a moment of silence in remembrance of the memory of our Honorable Sheriff Landry Reed. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, our first order of business is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, but just before we do that, I need to ask, does anybody have anything, any commissioner have anything to add under item 9, commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements, and comments?
I got one. Oh, I want to look at extending the ability group contract to include protection for home businesses. And we've got another one, unless Commissioner Gatewood. I'd like to rotate the employee lunch breaks in the tag office and the property tax office to make sure we got coverage throughout the day, or at least talk about that, or ask the manager to look in. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Chairman, on the consent agenda number 4B, can we table that until we get more clarification on the release item number 22-526, the Westfield Farm for $23,942.41.
Yes, my recommendation was going to be to pull that item off of the real property tax releases. We can do everything else, but not that one item.
Correct.
Mr. Manager, you see that? Ms. Berry in here? But that's, as he stated, as Commissioner Ben stated, release number 22526 Westfield Farms. It says clerical error, and that's quite a bit of money, almost $24,000. So we want to pull this off of the property tax releases. We can approve everything else except that one. That good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
I'd like for them to clarify what you said about the people in the tax office taking break. Don't they have a break for dinner?
What I'd like, if there's 2 people in the tax office and 2 in the tag office, I'd like them to rotate their lunch break so they can remain open during the day, rather than both of them go at the same time. People come during their lunch break and they can't get any service.
it's currently closed for an hour, so what he's suggesting is a rotation.
When you go to the drugstore, they close down.
I'm not going into that, so.
Okay.
And I'd like to get an audit update from Ms. Berry. That's under Commissioner Concerns, Petitions, Announcements, and Comments as well. Okay, we have the motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood. I think that needs to be amended to approve the agenda with the changes.
Be fine.
Second.
So the motion is amended to approve the agenda with the changes, and Commissioner Gatewood second stands. So any further discussions? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The agenda is approved. Okay, State Government Ethics Acts. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, General Statute 138A, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before the board? If so, please identify the conflict and refrain from any undue participation in a particular matter involved. Does any commissioner have a conflict or appearance of conflict with anything on the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none, then we're ready to move on. Item 2 is a resolution in honor of Sheriff Reed. We'll turn it over to Commissioner Anthony Sturgeon.
I ask that all the commissioners please come around to the front and stand, please. And our clerk, the power behind the board, come on here. You don't turn around, you know I'm talking to you. Don't make me do it. No, you're not. Somebody else will take it, come on. stand up there, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Chief Deputy Howard, will you come forward, please? Yes, sir, all the commissioners. Yeah, oh. You in the picture. Resolution honoring the life and service of Anson County Sheriff Landry Reed. Whereas Sheriff Landry Reed was a fine man who, with great character, high morals, and humility led the Anson County Sheriff's Office. And whereas, as a man representing the people of Anson County, he served with leadership, honesty, integrity, dedication, loyalty, fairness, friendliness, respect, and a host of other values that brought pride to the citizens of Anson County. And whereas Anson County has lost a true soldier against crime as well as a friend. And whereas the world was better because of his service and dedication. I got that from you, Harold Smith.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Whereas even before his election to the office of High Sheriff in 2014, Landry Reed served the citizens of Anson County and surrounding counties as a North Carolina state trooper. Whereas Sheriff Landry Reed's smile on his face brought laughter and joy to those allowed the honor of working for and with him, and whereas he touched the lives of many throughout the county and the state by his many acts of generosity, selflessness, and kindness, and whereas a strong citizen, a Christian man, Sheriff Landry Reed led his life with the principles of God first, family, and then service to his community. And whereas his life work has touched countless people and will be remembered for generations to come, and whereas the broad vision, leadership, dedication, and commitment to excellence that Sheriff Landry Reed brought to the citizens and leadership of Anson County will solely be missed. Now therefore to be resolved, it be resolved that Anson County Board of Commissioners, along with the citizens of Anson County, honor the dedicated service of Sheriff Landry Reed and the significant impact he made upon Anson County, adopted this 4th day of October 2022 at Anson County, North Carolina. Denise Cannon, clerk to the board. Jarvis Woodburn, chairman of the board. Will you get over there? Just take, please.
Squeeze in.
Squeeze Robert, the chairman.
Everybody look over here and smile. Here we go. You just can. There you go. I'll take a couple. 1, 2, 3. One more. One big smile. Here we go. Done.
How you know about smiling when you got the mask on?
Eyes are gonna stop.
You took my word for it.
We all right.
Absolutely, we're fine.
I know Sheriff Reed would be proud to be here tonight to get to him himself. But I'm standing in for him tonight. We really appreciate all the prayers, support you've given us. We publicly thank the public for all the prayers and hugs that went out to us these past 2 weeks. It's been very difficult for us. You can imagine that all the turmoil and stuff that's been going on, and the tragedy just happened to us so sudden. And I want to thank the staff for the resilience that they've had, and they've bounced back from this and still provided a most excellent service for the citizens of Anson County, and we will always do so. and we really appreciate it to be a part of y'all, and y'all be a part of us, and thank you for this, and we will hang this in a place that would always be seen and honor his memory for the good man he was. Thank you.
At this time, we're gonna hear from Dog Man, his Cracker Barrel friend. Y'all give him a hand as he comes forward. Oh, I'm packing, boo.
On behalf of the sheriff's office, I want to tell y'all, thank y'all for all the kind words and everything, and all the help that y'all give us during this time. It's been kind of a rough time for everybody at the sheriff's office. Everybody's gonna bounce back, and it's gonna be all right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, and at this time, our next order of business is to appoint a sheriff to fill the current unexpired term of Sheriff Reed. But before we do that, I'll ask the county attorney, Scott Forbes, to kind of just, I'm not sure if we all know how that process works, so I've asked him to fill us in on that, and then we'll proceed.
Thank you. There's been a lot of calls and people were asking what to do. The statute is very clear. Upon the passing of a sheriff, the coroner, or in our case in Anson County, the chief deputy fills in immediately. And then at the first regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, that is when an appointment can be made to fill the term of Sheriff Landrick Reed in this case. So tonight, that is what you will be doing. Separate and apart from that is because he was a candidate, we're filling the vacancy of sheriff. Because he was a candidate, that will be his party's obligation to move forward on that. But the county commissioners tonight are filling the term, I believe, until December the 5th. And are there any other questions or anything? If you'd like for me to go, I can.
That covers it, and just for informational purposes, Democratic Party, Sheriff Reed was a Democrat. They are proceeding with their process. They actually have a meeting scheduled for 10 o'clock this Saturday at the Hampton B. Allen Library for all of the Democrat elected officials to come participate in that process. And when they get through that process and get to the end, they will come back to the Board of Commissioners with a candidate to recommend for our approval.
Correct.
So at this point, to fill the unexpired term of Sheriff Reed, I would entertain a motion that we appoint Chief Deputy Scott Howell to fulfill that term.
So moved.
So moved.
I was
I make a motion that we fill the unexpired term of Sheriff Reed by, Scott Howell.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Sturtman, and there were other motions initially, but there were so many I couldn't get them all. Any further discussion?
I wanna include his wife, cause she asked me to do this.
Okay, good.
And I'm happy to do it for myself and her.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. Chief Deputy Scott Howell is appointed to fulfill the unexpired term of Sheriff Landrick Reed.
Kelly, get up there where you belong. Look, you know he couldn't have did it without you.
That's right. All right, give me another.
You know, Sheriff Reed trusted me before he ever made me his chief deputy. And that trust never wavered. We trusted each other. And he trained me up, and he chose me to be this person in case this occasion ever arrived here. Unfortunately, it has, and unfortunately, I'm in his place now. It's not the way that I want to be. I'd rather him be the sheriff and me be the chief deputy. Again, I appreciate y'all's votes of confidence, and I will lead the sheriff's office into the future with professionalism. And during the eulogy, Pastor McLeod come up with an age-old question of if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around, does it make a noise? I'm not sure. But I know when Landry Reed fell, we all felt the impact.
Yes, yes.
And we've got through that by your prayers, your support, and we'll do so by going forward. Again, I thank you for your confidence, and I lead the best I can. Thank you.
I thank you for your assistance in helping me carry out the service.
Thank you for doing
And all the other staff.
professional job, sir. We appreciate you made it easy for us.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is item 4, the consent agenda. And, just a note for the change to, item B, we pulled out, item 22526, the, real property, tax release. There was a clerical error of $24,000. That is not in there. So now we need to, motion to disposition the consent agenda, less that item. Mr. Chairman, I make.
That it be removed.
Second. Back up just a minute, we pulled that out during the approval of the agenda,
Okay.
so we just need to approve the consent agenda now, without that item.
I make a motion that we approve the, consent agenda without that item.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Mills and Commissioner Smith to approve the consent agenda without item 22526. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, public addresses to the board. Okay, we have, several people signed up to, present to the, board. Just reminded that you have 3 minutes, and that, as a board, the commissioners, we are not to respond to any of the items brought. We're to listen and assign to the county management staff to investigate and then come back later. So, first one is Ms. Sandra Osana, if I said that right.
Chairman Woodward, if it's all right with the board, I'll signal at 2 minutes, leaving 1 minute left.
Okay, that's fine. Appreciate that. Ms. Osana, did I say your name correctly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm Sandra Osana, and I'm the chairperson of the Republican Party, and I just want to say Sheriff Reed was one of the most wonderful people that I've ever met. And he's truly he will certainly be missed. And he built a bridge between the Democrats and the Republicans, and something that I hope, continues, which I know will. And I had a speech, but I'm going to make it just short. Anderson County was blessed to have Sheriff Reed as their sheriff. And I know that the Democrats are choosing the next sheriff, and I just hope that they do honor Sheriff Reed's wishes for Scott Howell to succeed him, because not honoring Sheriff Reed's wishes is not honoring Sheriff Reed. And I just, I know that most people believe that. And the Republican Party just hopes that Sheriff Howell will succeed for the next 4 years. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Osana. Mr. Bobby Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to speak with you tonight, and I'm not going to read anything for a change. I want to speak to you from my heart to your heart. I want to tell you that for me and my family, my neighbors, my friends, and this entire county is saddened by the passing of Sheriff Reed. I met Sheriff Reed several times, spoke with him several times, got to know him as a personal friend. He always treated me with respect, a Christian attitude, and I always asked if there was something he might do for me to help. It's very seldom that someone in his position that would take time from going from his office out the door of the sheriff's department and meet someone on the sidewalk, on the parking lot, and stop and ask them that. And he did that to me. I will miss him. I think the entire county will miss him. I know that his guys that work with him will miss him. I would like to say that I honor his memory. I respected him greatly. I respect all who wear uniform that have sworn to protect and serve. Sheriff Reed did that to the maximum. I appreciate the service that I've received from the Sheriff's Department when I made a couple of calls from my house because there was someone in my yard or at my door in the middle of the night. Someone was there within 5 minutes. It's hard, it's very hard to lose a friend. And it's very hard for someone at my age. I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of neighbors. I've lost a lot of my family. I've lost a lot of my nephews, my brothers, my uncles and aunts, cousins. I've lost a lot. And I would like to say that losing Sheriff Reed falls along that category. He's an excellent gentleman, and he was an excellent officer, and I appreciate his service to this county. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, Mr. Ricky Wallace.
Well, I guess it's been a long time since I've been up before y'all, somewhere around 2010. In 2014, Landry Reed and I got together, and he was a fine man. He was just like my daddy. My daddy was also a highway patrolman and military. Daddy couldn't make no money, so he went back into the military. And that's where he finished up till he became 100% disabled. Landry Reed, when I first met him, was somewhere around 1997. I had built a Clayton Sales Center out here on 74. He come flying into my daggum sales center, come running off, and he said, my radio ain't working. He said, can I use your telephone? I'm chasing somebody. I said, yes, you sure can. That's the first time I ever met Landry Reed. But me and Landry got together. He said, Rick, where'd you get your hats and your t-shirts and all that good? I said, well, Landry, I got them in Oakburg. So here me and Landry's in his pickup, and we go to Oakburg, and we take care of everything for him. But Landry Reed, in my opinion, is my life, and the road's been a long time. You meet a lot of good people. You could not have found a better man than Landry Reed. My wife died on August 12th. Landry Reed called me. He said, "I'm very sorry." I said, "I am too, Landry. But Cassandra, I'm very sorry for her too. You know, I lost my wife after 42 years. Anytime you lose anybody, it's bad. I sat over here in this sheriff's office with Landry Reed quite a few times. But let me tell you something. When his officers would come through there, especially Scott Howe, he would come there, "How you doing, Mr. Wallace?" It didn't matter who you were. He had his program in effect, and he was knowed how to run that sheriff's department, which it made me a proud man and a citizen of this county. Okay? And I hadn't spelled much. I could probably go all night. I usually could talk a lot better, but I got hurt real bad in 2011. But I tell you what, we couldn't have had a finer sheriff than Landry Reed. I switched over from being a Republican to independent just because I could help put this man in office. I used to be a strong Republican in this county, but Landry Reed was my friend. He might have been a sheriff, but Landry Reed was my friend.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace, and all those that spoke on behalf of Sheriff Reed. We consent to your comments, because they're right on point. And Mr. Snuggs has signed up, but I'm thinking unless you have something different, you're on our agenda as an appearance for the, okay, so that takes care of our public addresses to the board. And we will now go with appearances. Mr. Lee Snuggs, Roger Castillo, NCDOT, and Dominique Boyd, NCDOT.
Thank you, board. I've been here before. Lee Snuggs with Rocky River RPO. I'll let these gentlemen from DOT introduce themselves.
Hello, thank you all. My name is George Castillo from NCDOT.
Good evening, Dominique Boyd from NCDOT Transportation Planning Division.
And I think there's a presentation. Do we need to? We do have. Yeah, it's got on the thumb drive too, but I think you already got it queued up and ready to go.
Okay, and while they're getting ready, I'd just like to say this for all of the people here that's in law enforcement. We thank you for what you do. We thank your families for allowing you to do it, because I know it's a lot of stress and anxious moments for them. But once again, we thank you for what you do.
Again, board, thanks for taking time to see us. I hope this won't take too long. This is in reference to a request for approval for a growth rate for Anson County for our CTP update, which is a comprehensive transportation plan update that we're doing right now. It's just I know it's just some paperwork, but it does have a big impact on the future of Anson County's progress and growth. So I'll let these gentlemen handle as far as more details and get you up to speed.
Thank you everyone for allowing me the time to present today. This meeting, as Leah said, would be for the endorsement for the growth rate to be used in the Anson County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. I'm just going to give a brief presentation just explaining kind of what that is. So the CTP stands for Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and it's a long-range multimodal plan that usually looks anywhere between 25 to 30 years into the future. So it's a very long-range vision. And it is developed partly with the county as well as the rural planning organization, which Lee is a part of, as well as other stakeholders that are part of a steering committee meeting that meets just about every month to discuss this plan while it's being created. And it also incorporates the land use plan, so the Anson vision plan as well, and any other relevant plans. So as mentioned earlier, we do have a steering committee that's made of some of y'all and a few other people as well, and they're tasked with representing different aspects of the county, and assisting us with various duties such as public involvement and helping review the plan as it goes along. We have a couple other members such as different parts of the NCDOT, as well as the RPO and other local stakeholders. And of course the public as we send out public involvement procedures. So the benefit of a comprehensive transportation plan is to be coordinated with the local growth plan, and it also helps guide the RPO and the counties into helping submit transportation projects into for consideration for NCDOT. So even though it looks out very far into the future, it is good to be prepared. Did I miss something? Oh, there we go. Okay. So why is a CTP needed? So other than it being very important for the submittal of projects, it is also a requirement by the statute here that states that every municipality not within a metropolitan planning organization would need to have a transportation plan. So a comprehensive transportation plan would need to be a needs-based plan and would need to represent the community's consensus. So one of the things that we do early on is to develop a vision, and it is revised over time as we get more input from the public as well. We do evaluate different modes of transportation, so not just highway, we also take a look at bicycle, pedestrian, transit, and others that are available in the area. And just to see where this plan fits into the big picture of creating kind of like a project, we're at the very beginning where we start looking at what is needed in certain areas of the county. So as you can see, it is at the very top, and then it leads into that prioritization process, which is where projects are kind of scored to get funding until, you know, it goes down the line to eventually the creation of the project and the project's done. So just briefly to touch up on some of the different phases of the TTP. First, we develop the community vision. That's one of the first things that we do. We do revise it as the plan goes on. We assess the system, so we try to see how are the roadways, kind of what is going on, what are the different traffic patterns, things like that. And then we look at different alternatives of, you know, how we can kind of help alleviate congestion or many different problems that could be going on. And then we developed a draft plan for that and have and then share it with you all so that I can go towards adoption. Of course, through all of this, there's a lot of different things that happen along the way. So again, we do have to try to plan for the latest assumptions, as well as understand the community through surveys and things like that, as well as through you all that are part of the steering committee. And then we always come back to validate that vision to make sure any project that is, any project recommendation that is placed in the CTP, it goes in line with the community vision. And we have various stages of public involvement throughout the CTP. One of them being a survey that happened just recently in regards to the Anson County CTP. Oh. Okay, there we go. So that's basically the gist of what is a CTP and kind of what it what the overall goal of a CTP is. What we're asking today is for the endorsement of socioeconomic data, and just to kind of break down a little bit of our thought process through this data was we looked at different types of different data from various different sources to kind of see what the population of Anson County has been historically. And we also took a look at different sources such as the OSBM state demographers, as well as census, and the NC Department of Commerce, various different sources to come up with this graph right here. And even though a lot of these sources said that Anson County was going towards a negative growth, as you can see in that kind of that blue line there, we did come to our steering committee proposing a positive growth of 0.2%. They did, however, increase it to 0.5%. So that is that red line that you see going up, trending up northward. Up. So And as you can see the estimations of the population from 2019 to the estimated 2050 year, which is where it is projecting the future. Employment is also taken based on a ratio of the population, so those numbers right there reflect that as well. Now this growth rate here would be what is used in Anson County CTP in order to help kind of look at how the county is growing, and one of the things is that as the data changes after the CTP is adopted, it can be updated if it needs to be in order to kind of help adjust with if the county starts growing at a higher rate or things like that. An update can be requested at a later date. So basically, that would be our request today, would be to endorse the 0.5% projection for the use of the CTP.
That was mainly the gist of it. Just making sure that we're endorsing it to be able to finish up with this iteration of the CTP, like Roger was mentioning. Any further data that we would know after this point will be used to update once we complete this iteration of the CTP. So there's that.
Any questions from commissioners? Okay, well, I guess I've just got one. The survey, Mr. Snuggs, that was just finished on September 30th. I don't know if you had time. Did you get a good amount of responses to the survey?
Well, in my opinion, no. But I think according to these gentlemen, we actually I think, how many words is it?
It was almost 300.
Almost 300, of course. I wanted a lot more, because again, and I know board and public folks, this to talk about this, it's not a very exciting project, but it does have a big impact. Again, this kind of paints a picture of what Anson County wants to look like in the next 20, 30 years. So this is what is kind of a challenge, but we wanted as much public involvement as possible, but it's just unfortunately it's really hard to reach people. It's kind of a surprise in this day and age of social media, but according to these guys, 300 respondents is actually pretty good.
Okay. Thank you. So basically what's before the board tonight, if nobody has any other questions, is we're being asked to approve the CTP, well, based on the 2020 census growth rate, and as it's been stated, they need our approval to proceed, and at any time that we can supply the data to contest the census numbers that they have, we can do that and it will be changed. So at this time, we'll need to entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, to approve the CTP with the 2020 census growth rate. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The CTP plan with the 2020 census growth rate is approved. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Okay, Mr. John Green, Anson Rescue Squad.
Good evening to the commissioners, chairman, and the fellow government staff. Welcome to the new county manager. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak to you today, and I thank you for your leadership that you do for this county. I'm John Green. Many people know me by Tyler. I'm the chief of the Anson Rescue Squad, and I've been an Anson County native my whole life. I've been with the Anson Rescue Squad for 11 years. Next year I'll be coming up on 11 years. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm probably the Rescue Squad's #1 fan. I've been volunteering on the executive board. I volunteered as an EMT, then a paramedic, a rescuer on many incidents. I truly value what the agency has been able to do for this county. Anson Rescue Squad operates in several ways for our county currently, and we've been operating since 1958. We operate volunteer advanced life support services, which In layman's terms, we're taking people to the hospital in an advanced life support capacity. We have volunteer heavy rescue services, and we staff a 24/7 911 ambulance to run calls on behalf of the county, which alleviates the county EMS trucks. Over the years, unlike many rescue squads, our involvement in the county has only increased, it has not decreased. It's changed in some ways. We've had to mold to where we're needed from time to time, but currently the reason I'm with you guys today trying to speak to you is we've seen financial strain like we have never seen before. That's due to several reasons. It's due to the increased workload we've taken in for the county, the rising cost of the supplies and utilities, and the wages needed to keep our 911 ambulance staffed and ready for when the county needs it. I'm very proud of what we've made of our county's rescue squad. To put into perspective where the problems lie within our financial issues, I submitted in my agenda request the profit and loss statements over the last several fiscal years. One thing you're probably going to take a huge notice at is that in 2020 we took a loss of about $65,000. That was from several changes and upgrades we had to make in order to keep operations running in the capacity that they currently stand. In 2020 we did an ambulance remount, which if you're not familiar with that, it's basically taking an old ambulance, we refurbish the box itself that we transport patients in, and we place it onto a new cab. Many equipment like monitors, stretchers, other medical devices in that same year were past its prime. We had to replace a lot of things and service other things for the safety of the citizens. We were raising wages at that time in 2020 as well. EMTs went from minimum wage $7.25 an hour to $10 an hour, and then the paramedics went from $10 an hour to $14 an hour. This is also where they currently stand at. We are still at these wages. Just to put into perspective how low those wages are, the county employed EMTs and paramedics who work part-time for the county currently make $11.68 an hour as an EMT, and the paramedics are making $17.53 an hour, and they perform in the exact same capacity as our paramedics and EMTs do on our paid staff. My goal is not to exceed those wages, but I want to at least be able to compare, because I believe our employees who work for us deserve the fair wages like their other fellow paramedics and EMTs are making. I'm also looking for funding for our volunteer side to grow. Many of our volunteers are eager to help, but do not have proper radio communication equipment to hear calls for help. They don't have the proper gear to wear on calls if needed. And one major issue I really want to address is I do not have the money to cover the costs for some of these people go to specialized training that they would need to further grow in their education and be able to help the citizens of Anson County better. Currently, we generate revenue in two ways. The county provides us a $24,000 a year allotment, which we are extremely thankful for. And we also receive money primarily from insurance claims on billing for our ambulance transports. Billing revenue has especially fluctuated over the years, as many of our residents do not have insurance to bill or are on Medicaid, which, if you're not familiar much with Medicaid, they will pay the healthcare providers a preset capped amount which cannot be altered. And many times that amount does not meet the cost of the treatment and the transport provided itself. So many times EMS is a losing agency. You're doing it for the citizens of the county. You're not making a profit on that. I also brought some comparative figures to share with you guys today. Looking in the past 10 years of the rescue squad and how things have changed. In 2011, the rescue squad ran 1,173 calls. At that point, we operate advanced life support with transporting. Our operating rescue services were at a medium rescue capable level. We had a paid staff 7 days a week, but they were only working 12 hours, daytime only. At that time, we still received the $24,000 and we were billing for the transports on insurance claims. This is last year in 2021, the fiscal year that we've already closed out. We ran 2,211 calls, so pretty much doubling the call volume. Operating medical services, still advanced life support with transporting capabilities. At this time, we're also a heavy rescue capable squad. We've actually got that certification back probably 3 or 4 years ago. At this point, we operate a 24/7 paid staff, and obviously we're still receiving at this time $24,000 a year allotment, and we're billing for the transport on insurance claims. I also contacted other county rescue squads just to get a county by county comparison of how they are being funded as well. Just to reiterate, 2021, going back to the rescue squad again, 2,211 calls, advanced life support with transporting, operating heavy rescue capable, 24/7 operating paid staff, and then $24,000 a year, and billing on the insurance for transports. Richmond County Rescue Squad, all these numbers are approximate, by the way, I cannot give you an exact amount. Calls per year, approximately 1,300 calls per year, so substantially less calls than our rescue squad is currently running. They operate basic life support only with transporting. Basic life support is vastly different from advanced life support. Advanced life support, you're looking at medication administration, advanced airway procedures, cardiac procedures, defibrillation. There's a whole vast difference in the amount of care that you're able to provide in advanced life support. They were only a medium rescue capable service. They do not have a paid staff. They're currently receiving around $18,000 per year from Richmond County. Montgomery County Rescue Squad, they run approximately 150 calls per year. They are a basic life support service with no transporting capabilities, meaning they will not transport patients to the hospital. They operate at a medium rescue capable level with no paid staff, and with a mix of grant and county money, they're getting $50,000 per year. And also, to share with you today, one of the major things that I've had to deal with since COVID has been the rising cost of supplies. Things are inflated. Just giving you some rundowns of everyday use, everyday equipment that we're using on the truck. In 2020, an obstetrical kit used for gynecological emergencies, pregnancy, was $12.57. Today I have to pay $16.69. Dextrose, used for low blood sugar, it was $147.60 in 2020. Today I'm paying $209.99. Saline, everybody pretty much knows what saline is, IV fluid administration. It was $80.50 in 2020. Today I'm paying $92.96. Magnesium sulfate, this is a medication we use for respiratory emergencies. It was $57.50 in 2020. Today I'm paying $95.99. Bad valve mask, a lot of people know what this is. We use in cardiac arrest for assisting airway ventilations and other incidents as well. It was $19.29. Today I'm paying $22.29. These are all everyday items we have to have on ambulances. Many people know even if we're not using them, we're still having to rotate them out because there are expiration dates on these things. Keeping all of these things in mind, I make a motion to increase our yearly allotment to $64,000 per year. This would increase the cost by the county for $40,000. Running down what that money would be used for, this would allow me to increase paid staff wages by $1 an hour, putting EMTs at $11 an hour and paramedics at $15 an hour, which will cost us an additional $17,000 per year. If we don't take action soon to increase these wages, I'm going to keep losing staff who are continuing to go to other counties to serve for higher pay. With the remaining $23,000, I'm going to have to work towards a loan to pay off a loan for a remounted ambulance we completed in 2020. And I need to start putting money towards replacing our second line ambulance, which is also heavily used. It's over 10 years old, has around 220,000 miles on it. These units are crucial for us to continue operating. It's crucial for the county. Many people know as long as this paid truck stays alive, it's great for the county because it, in return, alleviates the county from having to have another full-time ambulance. Putting a little money up front saves a lot of costs in the end for the county. Any money left, I really need to put it towards equipment and training. I need this money for equipment and training because it's becoming essential for our staff and volunteers to get further training and equipment. As much as I hate to admit it, the rescue squad has been compensating for losses for a while. We're at a fork in the road where we are no longer able to dig into our savings account or unable to put off upgrading the fleet and prolonging the needs of the members and staff and the county residents. At this time, I'll take any questions. Any questions?
Any questions from any commissioners?
Not a question, you do an excellent job.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner.
On the page.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Green has asked for an additional $40,000 from the county, and I know the information that's in our packet, they hadn't had an increase. I know that at least in the last 5 years. So I know, Mr. Manager and Ms. Barry, I don't know if this is something that we need to look at, or do we have the room to? Ms. Barry.
Yes, sir.
$40,000, you know, what would it take for us to do this, to increase what we're giving the answer rescue squad?
We can utilize fund balance, or, which we don't have a clue yet, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit, or we can use the, emergency reserve money that we have that puts aside, got about $196.
I make a motion that we give.
It's the emergency.
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we use the emergency funds to give him that extra $40,000.
I second.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I
Commissioner.
don't wanna ride in no bank, no thing got, how many thousand miles on it?
220,000 miles, yes, ma'am.
By itself.
That's it, be by yourself, I ain't riding in that thing.
Okay, all right, y'all let me get this done before I get lost in it.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Sturman, seconded by Commissioner
Yeah.
Gatewood and Mims to increase the funding to Answer Rescue Squad by $40,000 up to the amount of $64,000 a year, taken from the emergency,
Or contingency, sorry.
contingency fund. Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Thank
Any
you,
further
Commissioner.
discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign?
In the contingency fund, we have to total $75,000 now.
And I think she said 100. Well, how much money we have in that contingency fund, Ms. Barry?
I think it's like around $196,000.
Yeah, we got it.
I'll get you, I'll give the niece a total for you.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, it is unanimous. The motion is approved to increase the allocated funds to Answer Rescue Squad to $64,000 a year.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Green on an excellent presentation,
Yes.
well documented.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
You said that, baby, tell me who your mama is.
All right, we're down to item 7, the manager's report. Mr. Sossaman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight I have a few things on there. I think you've got 3 listed, and then I've had a couple more come in the last few days, but nothing major, still a concern. First, if you'll remember at the last meeting, you have a gentleman here, Rick Lanier, with the In God We Trust motto, and at that time you agreed to display that motto in this room as well as on this building, and also the annex, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cannon sent out an email that we talked about, and before his untimely death, Sheriff Reed actually said he would be proud to have that motto on the patrol vehicles of the Sheriff's Department. Just got a nod from Chief Howell, which is good. You also had our utilities department said they would do the same. The emergency management building, animal shelter and their vehicles, and last but certainly not least, the health department building and vehicles. So if it's your pleasure, we'll make that happen, and I'll be contacting Mr. Lanier tomorrow if he's available.
Okay.
The next item is I have I'm sorry, go ahead.
I understand that, and I don't know if we have to vote on this, but I'll say by consensus, you have board's approval.
Yeah. So, thank you. Next, I was made aware that there's property at 109 in Barrington Street. I think it's 109 North, that's 1212 Barrington. It's owned by the county. And if you'll remember at the last meeting, there were 2 properties brought before you at that time, and you made a decision rather than for the county to try to resurrect them, that put them on the market. And I did talk to Larry Newton about it, tax administrator, and so he's already contacted folks on those 2 properties. I'd like to recommend the same action here. There are some folks, including a neighbor who has adjoining property that said she'd like to have this property. So I think if we go to that upset bid process, which is under North Carolina General Statute 160A-269, we can probably do them all 3 or roughly at the same time.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Yes, sir. Okay, you want, I guess we do need to do a motion on
Yes,
this.
I make a motion that we move forward with that.
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Brinken, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood to move forward with the properties, and this last one is 1212 Barrington Street. Any further discussion?
Me and second it too.
Okay, Commissioner Mills is also a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous.
Last variance is three.
So right out here on 109 North, just after you go up the hill before you turn back on Sykes Avenue, on the right.
Clinton over Fillmore.
Just before you get there. This is on the right though, before you get there.
Next, Mr. Chairman, if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
The committee met a few days ago for nominations and consideration of, what they normally do every quarter, which comes up with, employees of the quarter, if you will. And we have three names, Cheryl Cannon Jr. from the library, Holly Thomas, 911 Services, as well as, Diane Welch from the library. And so, I've already signed the presentations, for them, so they'll be receiving those within the next day or so.
Okay.
And, we'll be breaking bread together, I think, Friday morning sometime.
Right.
Excellent.
What's the location?
Location?
For the breaking bread.
I knew you were gonna ask that. I think it's gonna be in the conference room, which is obviously right around the corner.
All right.
So I think we just got a person who invited herself. Then I'd like to do three other items, if I may.
Yes, sir.
First one is, as everyone will recall, we sort of kind of dodged the bullet this past Friday weekend when we had Hurricane, then Tropical Storm Ian come through. I think we were very fortunate. We had a number of trees down around the county. We had about 800 folks that were without power, but that's all been restored fairly rapidly. And we had some power lines and some phone lines that were down, so people not just out of power, but they were also out of telephone service for a while, but that's been coming. No reports to us about property damage to homes, which is, a blessing, if you will. We did have from the North Carolina National Guard 8 persons with 4 trucks, 2 high water clearance, and two Humvees that showed up just in case we needed that kind of support. And so I think, like I said, we came through pretty good. We also, after we dissolved the declaration of the state of emergency, we had a request for Rodney Diggs, our emergency management director, to be deployed. And I can tell you where that deployment will take place. He'll be leaving tomorrow to go to Lee County, Florida. And if anybody's familiar with the Florida geography, that's in pretty much the southwest corner. I think about the only thing south of there would be Collier County and the Keys. And if you'll recall, that area along with Charlotte County, its next door neighbor, were 2 of the hardest hit by the hurricane. So I told him to be safe and be careful. So that's just a report. I've got something that we'll need, if you just direct staff, and then our county attorney and I'll get on it with our utilities folks. That is, we've had a request from the project manager of T-Mobile. They would like to install a tower, if you will, and other apparatus at your Jones Pond location of the water tank. That's up in Commissioner Bricken's district, Burnsville. And of course, what we would do would be to work on it. I think what they would like to have initially is an option of 2 or 3 years while they can complete their consideration plans. I've got a draft plan already that we'll review, but if it's your pleasure, we can pursue it.
We do have, I'm trying to think if we did have anything with anybody like that. I know for the water tower here in Wadesboro, we have some things in place, so I don't think it's an issue to look at that. And you and staff can make arrangements that you feel like is satisfactory. I don't know, would the board want to see that?
Well, I'm satisfied for the Burnsville district that we have horrible coverage right now, so whatever we can get, we'll be thankful for.
Sure. So at this point, I would say that you can proceed, and we'll rely on you and staff's best judgment for this.
All right, sir. We'll sure do it. And another one that I just received within the last day, and our attorney did as well, is from the National Opioid Litigation. They are looking at the possibility of filing a complaint against McKinney and Company, which is the marketing firm for Purdue Pharmacy, or Pharma, if you will, one of the big pharma companies. We already have started receiving opioid funds, and I've talked to Ms. Berry about that. But if we don't say yes, we're gonna be automatically brought into the fold, if you will. But you can opt out, but if you opt out, obviously you will receive no money from any kind of settlement. I think that's right, Mr. Attorney.
That is correct.
So do we have to inform them of our intentions? I would say we don't wanna opt out.
If you don't wanna opt out, what I can do is, there's a form I can sign if you are so in agreement, and we'll get that shipped out to them tomorrow, no later than Thursday.
Okay. Is that something we need to put in the form of a motion for you to do, or just,
that's the form,
That's
yes.
the form, right?
Right. If you would, that would be, at least would have formal approval, and I can proceed accordingly.
okay, at this time we will need a motion to approve the, applying for the opioid funds from, you say, what was the name of the company?
It's, McKinney.
McKinney, okay.
Right.
So moved.
I second it.
Have a motion from Commissioner Mims, second by Commissioner Sturman, to authorize the county manager to request the opioid funds from McKinney. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. County manager is authorized to request the opioid funds from McKinney.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, board. That's my report, unless you have any other questions or direction.
Not at this time, I don't believe, unless some of the other board members do.
Mr. Gatewood doesn't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, the chairman's report, I'll make it real short. Just a reminder that KP Films will be filming out at Davidson County Airport this Saturday at around 12 noon. And they're including us in their production of North Carolina barbecue. And of course, if you're planning on going and being there for the meal, you need to respond to the email that they sent. Okay, North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, their legislative goals process is in the works right now, and that's something we need to keep in mind. And I will get a copy of that and get the county to forward it to everybody. And if there's anything that we need to get aboard with, we need to make sure that we're working on that so that we can get in the next round. It's too late for this one, but it's just something I thought I need to mention. Okay. And also at the Rocky River RPO meeting in September, NCDOT did a real good presentation on the plan to go to electric vehicles, and then the national charging infrastructure. And that was kind of interesting, because the plan is, and I think the governor has a plan for North Carolina, that a certain number of vehicles would be electric by, I think it's 2030 or 2050, I'm sorry. And then Department of Transportation, there's a national plan that there will be charging stations every 50 miles on major highways, and we reviewed the major highways in North Carolina to make sure that they had it covered. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'll see if I can get a copy of that presentation and get it sent to you all as well. All right, that brings us down to commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements, and comments. The first one is extending the ability contract. Commissioner Brickman.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure, or request from the board, that we would consider extending the ability group, which is our contractors that are doing the zoning consulting for the county. I'd like to include language that guarantees the protection and promotion of Anson County at-home businesses. That's our bread and butter. Right now, it's not really mentioned in the zoning ordinance draft that we've read as of now. And I'd like us to, as a commission, extend that contract and not be satisfied till we see that in there. So I would like to make a motion with the board, if possible, we could extend the contract, which is over now, for the zoning consultants to make sure they add that, and based on the commission's agreement, to the language for at-home businesses protection in Anson County.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Brickens, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, to extend the contract and just, the ability group, to get the, I guess, in-home businesses stated the way that Anson County wants it. Currently, it's not the way that we want. We've heard from the citizens several times in regards to that, and there are other items in there too that I think some of these just need to come out, and there wasn't mentioned in this motion, but I think there's some boilerplate language in there that talks about hazardous waste, nuclear waste, and that type of thing that we do not accept in Anson County. That needs to basically just come out, so we would have the county manager address that as well with them. And I don't know if the contract needs to be extended, but if they want to charge more, and it's been mentioned to Mr. Allen, I know that if the rest of the work that they need to do, because they have not brought it to the board for us to approve yet, they would probably want to charge, and I think they went to an hourly rate based on the correspondence that they sent us, so you can proceed with that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as a matter of fact, a meeting a week ago with that group, I think their plan now is to appear before you at your November 1 meeting, to make a presentation, and we'll go ahead and let them know that you want the home occupations or in-house occupations, as you said, included. Right. And then I did have some discussions with them about how we should address hazardous waste issues. And they'll be prepared hopefully on November 1 to discuss that to some degree, and then before it's brought back to you for final adoption, hopefully we'll get not hopefully, but we will get that language in there that will satisfy your concerns. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Great.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. If necessary, the contract with the builder group will be extended to get the language per the way that we want it as Anson County Commissioners. Okay, the next one, rotate lunch breaks for license plate and tax collections. Commissioner Brickens.
I'd like to ask the manager to look into the possibility of, if there's 2 employees at the tax office or 2 employees at the tag office, to have them rotate their lunch hour, 1 at 11 to 12, 1 at 12 to 1, so they can maintain service for the public throughout the day, because a lot of people can only come to get their tax renewed or pay their tax during lunch, and right now that's the time that they're closed, and then when they come, the line builds way up because all of a sudden they gotta wait, and then after they get back from lunch, then there's a big crowd in the waiting room because they've been waiting for service. So I just like if you could look into the possibility of that.
I'll be glad to discuss it with our tax administrator some more tomorrow. I actually heard a little bit about it already and have talked with him. One of the reasons that they're doing it now when they're closing for a whole hour is because both the tax department collections as well as the DMV were short of staff. They both lost a person, and there are only 2 in each division. So we've brought some folks in now, so they're back to 2. But the new people are not fully trained, and so what we'd like to do through the end of this month is to go ahead and get the training, get them up to speed, if you will, and then starting on November 1, which is a Monday, if I'm not mistaken, we can go to those flexible lunch hours, so that one person would go from like 11 to 12:30, and the other one would go from 12:30 to 1:30. So that gives people who are working for a living an opportunity to come in. It may be a little slower because of only one person, but at least they'll get service. Right. If that suits you, I'll work with Larry tomorrow, and then if you've got more concerns, we can discuss it at your next meeting.
Yes, sir. I sure appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Okay.
Chairman, I have one thing for the manager. Do you know if we awarded the grant for the electric charging station at the annex building? I know we applied for it.
I do not know that, but I can check it out. The charging station?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one there when TD Electric was in the building, but they took their charger with them. And we applied for the grant from that Volkswagen settlement and all to get a charging station to go back there. Basically, we just need the station. It can be easily set up.
Holly can answer.
We have not received the award for it yet. They've sent it back to us this week.
Okay.
To amend the requested amount. So hopefully we'll get that submitted and should hear from them pretty soon.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Holly, while you standing, did you pay the bill to have heat in here today?
Huh?
Well, we got lights. We paid the bill.
I know George don't say nothing.
I was gonna crank it down some more. Okay. Okay, next, and Holly's still on you. I wanted to know about the audit update. Are we on track to get the current past due audit done, and then by early next year, be on time by having the 21-22 audit finished?
We are on track. I have to be honest, I have underestimated the time it takes to actually go through everything for 2021. But we have completely scrubbed all the data. We've reconciled all the bank statements. We've reconciled to the cash. Right now, we are currently working to collect data for the audit. I've probably assessed we've done 50% of the data so far. It's just taken a little bit longer to collect the data, to not reinvent the data, but just to get the data where it's auditable. Having to find paper copies versus electronic copies because of the ransomware attack.
Right.
But we are definitely continuing to move forward. We're doing great. The water department has switched to a new system now, so that's sort of taking a little extra time for us. But we are definitely getting closer, and but the one thing we're still committed to is we want to make sure the data is accurate.
Absolutely.
And it's not compromised. So that may take us a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, we will have a completed audit, and then we'll move on to last year, 21-22.
Okay. And by getting this one done, next year, the one you're talking about now should be fairly easier to do.
It should be fairly easier.
Okay. Good deal. We appreciate what you all do. Thanks a lot. And so, I guess where I'm going with this thing, next year, this time we'll be currently.
Yes. That is my hopes and my prayers, and it will be current in the next year.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, the last thing, and I just crossed my mind, I didn't make a note of it, but I'd asked the manager and to get with the appropriate staff. Our Acorn system, I think there's been some concern about the water department, and when there's a break or when there's infiltration of any type, is that a notice goes out on the Acorn system. I think if you could look into that with Mr. Sessions and whoever else needs to be involved.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. And at this time, I don't know that there's any reason that we need to come back, so we will adjourn until our November meeting.
Make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Okay, motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturman and Commissioner Dr. Sims to adjourn. All in favor, let me know by saying